When first thought, submit spirit to form matter. Our celestial humanity arrives, awakening from the dream, an inception of our reality. So we live, we love, and then there is music. So we dance, we sing, we pray, we reflect. In the infinite in between, the now that was, faces dance in our dreams. Some familiar, some distant, cosmic composition. In the irrelevance of this time, we realize the passion of the random abstract, learning the lesson that the brotherhood of man is far more important than the ego of any individual. Imagination becomes the sound of thought, traveling at the speed of art. So we paint on the canvas of our ephemeral encounters with nothing. A masterpiece that lives in the eternity of a child's soul.
At times, I look to see who's looking in. Speech in mute to oppression, seeing cosmos deemed, tuned through thoughts like a G-scale, formed in resolutions of inertial causation. Intuition non-precocious, to not speak ether like the shoes of the fisherman's wife. Often pondering the moon and stars on my shoulders to move suns like miles towards their inner azimuths. So I cannot ever deny the canon of the Church of St. John, where monk's dream became a Thebian, yet Spirilian, returning again unto the nothingness of the now, infinite, empty, embracing a love supreme.
Welcome to the 16th note. Ether Blue, how you feel?
I feel good, you know. This is my space that I create in, you know. I was able to build this up over time. It's not much, it's real humble, but you know, it's where the magic happens, you know. And matter of fact, I was just about to create something from the hip, and you know, music as an idea is an endless creative journey, you know. And I've discovered that when I embraced upon the music, you know, I've been influenced by a lot of the greats, you know, Thelonious Monk, Herbie Hancock, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Max Roach, Art Blakey, Lee Morgan, Miles Davis, I think I said Miles Davis, Sonny Rollins, Pharoah Sanders, Sun Ra, Farouk Z-Bay, Skeeter Shelton, Kenny Green, Michael Carey, you know, a lot of local, Marcus Belgrade. They've inspired me. I won't say that I try to play like them or anything like that, and none of them really taught me. I just been inspired by them. And I'm both an acoustic musician as well as a digital composer. And so, you know, that's how I get down. See what I can make with this. This is the track I did earlier. I'm gonna do another one now. I'm gonna open up another file and create with that.
What type of mood are you in today?
I'm in a very relaxed and excited mood, you know, at the same time. You know, I'm vibing with the warmth. Finally we get a really warm day, and I'm feeling it, you know. I'm feeling it. So I'm gonna celebrate the crowning of this day, which is, you know, it's about 2 in the afternoon right now. I'm gonna celebrate the crowning of this day with doing a rendition of a track that I made the other day called Whisperers into the Null Set of Now. The world is unresting, urging humanity to take up arms, defend their freedom. Arms of Kemet, true to my eye. And as the light shineth, weapons of mass construction build on the principles of love, intuition, freedom, energy, raising our collective frequency to a higher power to receive the destinies of time. The scrolls you will receive will aid you in the perception of new realities, harmonizing elementals, ether, air, water, fire, earth, to see beyond oblivion.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
And what was the title of that track?
Whispers into the null set of now. A null set is something that has no real value, as they say. It's like a zero with a line through it. Mm-hmm. And the null set of now is kind of like the moment of now really has no value until it's whispered into with life. You have to take every moment and breathe life into it for your own benefit and others. So that's why I titled that Whispers into the Null Set of Now, because it can take any moment and breathe life into it.
Awesome. The more you talk about breathing life, I remember times I heard you on the flute.
Like when you sit down in the studio to play, do you already have an idea in mind what you want to do, or?
No, it's all improvisational. The whole process. I'm an explorer, and I use some software programs, and I take loops and put loops together to make an original track, and then I improvise over top of that. A lot of them are hip-hop beats. It could be country music beats. It could be jazz beats. It could be R&B beats. And I improvise over top of them with my own key of music, key of chord syncopation and improvisational exploration. And I just pour my emotion into the music for, what I need, because this is my therapy, this is my healing, this is what I do every day when I come home from work, or if I had a good day or a bad day or whatever. I like to express it at the end of the day with a song or something, and I put it in music, and sometimes I share it with the world. I might go live on Facebook or something just for GP, just for anybody else out there who might want or need to hear it. You know, I don't necessarily be looking for, you know, views or likes, but I just do it so in case somebody else enjoys it as well, they'll be able to listen to it and have a good time with it, because I think it's therapeutic.
Okay, so briefly, show me your process.
All right, this is I use the.
What are your tools? What are your DAW? What is your?
I use GarageBand. I have an old MacBook, and it has GarageBand. I think 8 on it, and I use that with some instruments. Some of them I created, and some of them are come with the program, are default. And then I use Logic Pro. I have a MacBook Pro that I bought in 2015, and I have like 36 instruments on here that I created, and I usually I use this template I created, and I ended up putting all of the instruments on one software file. That way I don't have to keep adding them all the time, and I just open it up. And then what I usually do is, like, if I'll make a track here, like I'll go and find some loops, something that I like. We'll go with urban, and I'll add stuff to it and build it from there.
Ether Blue.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I see you're keeping up after the little bugs out here.
Yeah, they got the park real nice now, so it's like, you know, when you're out here, you gotta try to keep it straight, at least when you're around the area, because somebody might come behind you. That's the way I am. If I go somewhere and something is down or whatever, I like to clean it up so people can say, you know, when you was there, if they come behind you, they be like, they won't say, well, man, that man left all that trash. I'll be like, nah, I straightened it out. I think if we all cared a little bit, just a little bit about what we have, it would be better. You know, as a people, you know, black people always want to go on the other side of the fence all the time. And we got everything nice for ourselves as it is, you know. And that's for any people. Most people, I think the oppressed mind functions in a way where it's depressed. So any way to relieve stress, it comes out just in the very fabric of every little thing we do. So instead of thinking, well, I'm gonna take this to the trash can. We say, well, shoot, it's junky out here anyway, so I'm gonna throw it down. And that's how a lot of people do with neighborhoods. And I think it happens everywhere with all this artificial plastic and styrofoam and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of this going on over in Africa, but they've learned a way to recycle, and they even have built homes with this stuff. You know, and but
So you're very earth conscious, brother?
I won't say very. I just like nature. I like the balance. I like the eco balance between nature and technology. I think technology and nature goes hand in hand. I think that you should keep green green, and then technology should have an ecosystem where it accommodates nature. You know, I don't think, you know, there's a motto where, you know, you might see in Star Wars there's an ecumenopolis and the whole planet is a city. If that ever took place, I would still want to have a vast majority of like a central part of the planet or whatever that would be a green space.
Right.
You know, if they ever got to that, you know, that would be, if they did, it would be millennia in the future, you know, for them to get to that kind of technology here on this planet. But, you know, I like green. I like green. I like this experience of humanity. It's a beautiful thing, you know.
Out here amongst the trees and the lawn and the water, it seems like this is a good place for fresh air and health.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I like coming out here, because it allows you to clear your mind and see things clearly, focus on positive and peaceful things, you know, and everything to me is music, you know. If you listen to these waves crashing against the shore, those are notes of a song. It's notes of a celestial song, and it's been written for centuries and eons, you know, the noises and sounds of nature. And I like to capture that in a different way when I make my music sometimes. Sometimes I like to embellish it with a lot of electronic sounds that will get you to think about, when you hear it, you think about nature, you know, faraway places, distant realms, planets that are all natural and have the eco balance that I'm talking about.
I hear a love for science fiction in your discovery of the earth and nature. How does science fiction play into your music?
Well, I take in some instances I take offense to that term, science fiction, because everything is real somewhere. If somebody perceived it in their mind, it's a reality somewhere. And in your mind are many worlds of realities and times and spaces that actually exist. When you dream, that's a real place. It's not just, some people say, oh, it's just your mind working out issues you got going on, something in the day. No, that's a reality somewhere. And when you go in your dream, you travel to parallel universes and different worlds and realms, and you work out stuff for that dimension of time and space. And so everything's real. This is somebody's dream, you know. So we living in somebody else's dream. We may be in somebody's head right now, you know, living out a dream. But everything's real. And I do love the sci-fi, you know, and stuff like that, because it expands the mind to think beyond what you do know, you know. And at one point, when to a child, you know, when the child comes out into a world like this, this is all science fiction to them because they never seen it before. You know, they look at these birds and trees and stuff and all this life. They've been in their mama's womb for all that time. So when they come out and they see all this, they're like, whoa, I dreamed about this. This is awesome, you know, and they have a ball. You know, if we can maintain the innocence of a child in everything we do, even when we have our little, you know, tiffs or whatever, spats or whatever with different people or what have you, if we can maintain the innocence of a child and go to a resolve, you know, things would be greater, things would be better. You'll be able to enjoy life a lot more.
Thank you.
Tell me about how did drums introduce themselves into your musical experience?
Well, this particular drum right here, this Matador, I bought from a brother named Best. And I said, man, you know, before I bought the other drums, I said, man, I don't know how to play drums. And I really don't consider myself to be a percussionist. I'm just a musical explorer on all the instruments I play. But he told me, he said, you get that drum, and that drum will teach you how to play it itself. He said, just listen to it. It'll tell you. And so that's what I did. And so being an abstract musician, you just paint with sound. Trumpet or pocket trumpet. Primarily it's Miles Davis's sound. That's why I use the mute. This is a rhombicated mute. It's beat up, but that's from the many gigs or whatever that I've done with it, poetry spots and whatnot. I started out playing trumpet. I used to do an air band with my poetry. You know, I used to read a poem and I used to be like, doo doo dee 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 doo dee, and I said, you know, I want to play a trumpet for real. So basically what I did is I went to the pawn shop and I found a trumpet and I bought one and I just started teaching myself how to play. But anyway, I started playing it, and I also was influenced a lot by Skeeter Shelton and Ferrucci Bay. I'm nowhere near as great as them guys, but they inspired me to be abstract, and they told me to keep doing what I do and play and be yourself, always be yourself. So that's what I did, and I started with my group Epiphanies of Sound, and that's where I started doing a lot of the abstract saxophone and stuff. My conch shell. It's my mother's conch shell. She used to have at the house. I got her just before she passed, and I use this a lot in my openings, sometimes with some of my songs and tracks and whatnot, my abstract tracks. So one of my other personas, and this is I didn't know I could play it, you know, and it kind of brings me into the spirit, you know. So that's what I use it for. Think about this day. This book you read.
I don't care, I haven't read it yet.
I thought you said you was reading the anthology of rap.
I said if it's up there, I haven't read it yet. I'll start it. All the books up there, I haven't read yet. I read some of them. Not all of them.
Visitation Thursday. So she not even here and not one out. Yeah, no, they have me sharing like I saw her.
Right.
Who's the holiest?
I know I'm a heathen, so they get prayer.
God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for family. We thank you for friends. We thank you for the food that we're about to receive. We ask that you bless the hands that prepare it, bless the hands that prepare it. Make us worthy to receive it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hi, baby girl. She bought everything under the sun to get rid of
Take your coats and gloves and stuff off. We don't lose them. Come here, Lil. Huh? Hey, Grace. Larry, let me have your coat. Grab me, hand me. Put it all together. We'll put it over here. So when you go, you know right where it is.
Okay, so I'm at the museum.
So what you been doing, girl?
Oh, okay. So, I had a semi-car. Tell Apple. She already said that's why I was
Every first Sunday is family dinner together. It was started before the ascension of our parents, Heyman and Melita Cross Sr., to bond the family closer together and to teach the grandchildren the importance of family by my older brother, David Jonathan. This is the key to Aether's vibrational harmony, for if it were not for family, the balance could not be. As the last of 11, I know how important family is. It is the key to transcend all of life's struggles and critical to the endeavors of enjoying it. A strong family is like a deep anchored ship in a storm, or the mainsail hoisted to traverse the plains. It is the very fabric of the divine quilt stitched together with the love of countless generations.
What'd you say? You said, yeah, what happened? Everything you hit all
So like, which one? Okay, the wall.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so the wall is a place where I literally, from my brain onto the walls. It's like any artist. Every artist has their medium. So painters have paint, sculptors have their clay and marble or whatever. I have words, loving words specifically. And so the wall is a place where I dream, I curate, I manifest, and whatever is going on in my universe, it lands. And actually Blue was here and we talked about the wall. We talk about the wall a lot, and it's not any different from hieroglyphics. And that's where he and I connect. I was one that was not told about the Kemetic philosophies and histories. That was not part of my language. So meeting him he's kind of like my personal teacher. I refer to him as my brother-in-law. And he teaches me a lot, and we connect on several different levels, but one is definitely that cosmic connection. My brother-in-law teaches me so that I can cure myself from my cultural amnesia. And so that's what this is referring to, the cultural amnesia, the remembering of who I am and why I am here, why each of us are here, and that remembering peace and calm and knowing that God's got this. And that's where that ascension comes in. What he brings here to the house very often, more than once, actually a few weeks ago, bringing his music and his art and his wisdom. He's, a counselor. He's a teacher. He's a friend. He's a spiritual support. And he comes and he calibrates the house when he comes. Last time he came, brought all his equipment and just played. I sat on the floor letting those sounds, that music go. I sat on the floor bare ass on the floor, and then just let the vibrations just go right, from my root up to my head, and Jefferson, pen and paper in my hand. And that space was a space, where the poets and visual artists, musicians gathered, and we didn't connect immediately then. We knew of each other. He had his cornet, and I just blew my mind, because that was probably actually one of the first times that I had ever seen or heard, experienced live music in a space like that, where the music is just accessible, fast forward to us, crossing paths through Broadside, Lotus Press, and being on the same stage or in the same lineup reading poetry. And ran into each other again down at Red Door Digital. We're all in the North End, so North End is just, the spot. It was just something. There's always a magnetism, when you know somebody, you love somebody, and have an appreciation for them, you're always going to circle back around. So every time we circle around, we get closer and closer. So here we are, last year, 2016, and me doing Hip and Zen in the North End, and live home concerts and author talks and such. And I was like, hey, come on through. So he comes through, and he brings his cornet. He sits in. He's real quiet, laid back. That same time period, though, my mom had come over. She said, well, you don't have any art in the walls. We gotta fix this. So I go over, hang out at Blues House one day, and he's got all his artwork. And I'm like, wow. So he brings his artwork here. And now here's where like a couple of interconnections come in. We have a love, I have an appreciation for his music. We have a definite love for words. Huge logophiles, he and I are. Cosmic minded, he has the language, and both of us have this feelings, empathic history. We have the strong connection. We have also a deep interest in psychology, and sociology and anthropology and everything. So all that fused together, me needing art on the walls, and what perfection it was for him to be an artist that says, hey, I've got some art for you. So it's actually for sale, but however, I'm holding on to it until somebody else sees that it's valuable for them as well. But what it is about the art, and I'm very 3-year-old when it comes to art, the colors and the shapes, and there's such a vibrance to this, and he brought the work here, and it literally changed, it created a shift in the house. This room is where he's also performed as well. We have this thing with what other people call depression, clinical depression, schizophrenia, depression. These clinicians diagnose and use labels. It is just that we are energy, and we vibrate at different levels of energy. And sometimes I vibrate really, really low. And so when I do, this is where I come, and I emerge from that depression, those seas of darkness. When I come and I sit, and I know it sounds all spacey and woo, but I mean, I'm literally serious. You come and you look at these pictures, these paintings, and you imagine. He has a really cool backstory about, the paintings that resonate with me, but they're just so beautiful and simple, and I can get lost in them, and the colors mean something, everything means something. But above all that, it's just that they're uplifting and they're vibrant. And this one, actually, he did tell me a little bit about, told me about this one. They're musical notations. And so when he comes and he's able to actually give the story, I'm like sitting like this. Like, tell me again, about what each of the paintings mean. But I know it's just love. They've just brought love in here and history. And they just reach a part of my soul that I don't even know what it means. I don't care what it means, but I know how they make me feel.
Oh, okay. My name is Katrina Muhammad, and I've known Bilal. Let me see. Okay, I first met Bilal at Burt's Eastern Market, and it was a poetry night that I was giving there, and I remember. I believe he had his drums then. I'm not for sure. He always carried his drums. It seems like I remember that. And I remember him accompanying me and other poets with his drums, and it was so nice. And I just remembered that. And I don't know if I said something to Bilal that first night that I met him and saw that, or if it was the next poetry. And I think it was on a Sunday, because Burt's was allowing me to do poetry night on a Sunday. It may have been that first time or maybe the second. But I knew I had to say something to him because I had never heard anyone so talented before in the drums. And it just created a whole new energy to the poetry night that we didn't have. And it was like the missing link, And then in addition to that, his poetry was so well written that it just gave you an emotion, So I said, I need to talk to him. And I remember introducing myself, and I remember him introducing himself, and I just came right out with it. I need a host of the show, and you're really good, and I would really like for you to be the host of this poetry night on Sunday. And he said yes. And I was so excited because you ever get that feeling when you meet somebody and you just know, I'm going to like this person and we're going to get along? That's how I felt instantly with Bilal. He was so easygoing, and he was very pleasant and kind. And I didn't know at that time his training, having been an FOI and a Nation and all that. I didn't know any of that. I just knew he was an artist, he was a drummer, really liked this guy. And so that's how it began. He was the host of my Sunday poetry night. And it was a great show, and it was a great run. We did it for a while. Maybe it was about a year before the gallery, getting the gallery. Who Bilal is to me personally is he's a brother, first and foremost. Like literally my brother. I don't have any brothers. I'm an only child, but I feel like out of all of the friends I've had, or just men I've met in passing or what have you, or even my family members, like cousins, I feel like Bilal is my brother, my spiritual brother and real brother. And so in every sense of the word, in terms of my security, my confidant, someone who just has my back. I can bounce ideas off of him. He can tell me when I'm wrong and where I need to, rethink something and possibly go back and atone and apologize. He's my brother in every sense of the word. He's my friend, like a true friend. And I never understood my mother when she said, the older you get, you're going to be really happy if you can count your friends on one hand. I did like this. I remember saying to her, Mom, that's only 5 fingers, like, what are you talking? That's not a good thing. That's just 5 friends. That's it. Mom, I got a bunch of friends. My whole class. And she said, no, you don't understand the word friendship yet. But God willing, you will. And you will be fortunate if you can count your friends on one hand. So now that I'm 40 plus, we're not going to go there, but I was going to say, I totally get it. I totally understand what she was saying. And among that friend list, I would definitely count Bilal at the top of that list. No doubt about it. He is, I guess, my self-accusing spirit. He's a part of that, because I'll call him and say, hey, this happened to me. Did I handle that right? What's your opinion? And I'll give him all the facts, not just keep certain stuff out that I want him to hear. No, I'll tell him everything. And then he'll tell me, nah, or yeah, I understand. Because I think it is something that you long for, that you look for in a person, period, is to be understood, to be around people that understand you. And he understands me. He gets it. And that's just invaluable. Like, that's invaluable, because the older you get, you talk to people, and it's not even an age thing. You could assume maybe someone's a certain age and they're mature enough to get it or understand or just know, and it has nothing to do with that, and they don't know, they don't get it. Bilal gets it. He gets it. And that is something that, it's priceless what that is worth. Truly. So that's what I would say what he is to me. Now, his character, I would say he's funny. I would say he's savvy and smart, very smart. In fact, I don't know if I know anyone as smart as Bilal other than maybe my dad. I'm talking about men. Of course, I think my mom's smart, but from a male perspective, if I had to say or name the top 5 people who I've encountered, mentors, ex-managers or bosses or whatever, classmates, just male figures who I personally know that are intelligent and smart, he would be in the top 5, maybe in the top 3. And that's saying a lot, because I've lived, a lot of different states. I've met a lot of people. I've done a lot of things in my life, and I've met a lot of people. But to really know someone and know them deep enough to see that intelligence just kind of ooze out of them in everything they say, everything they do, there's a reason for it. It has a deeper meaning. That is Bilal. Everything he does, it's a purpose, it's a reason. Now, some people can be very surface level type of people. He's not like that at all. And he makes you think about yourself, what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're living, the relationships you have with people. He makes you think, because that's how he lives. I would say he's very giving. And when I say giving, I'm talking about charitable. helping a lot of people. And I consider myself charitable, so I like being around other people like that, where one day you pay for lunch, the next day your friend's like, no, I got you. And it's that give and take thing. It's not somebody who's like using you. No, it's someone who is giving back to you just as much as you're giving to them. That's Bilal. Very giving. I would say very spiritual. He's a spiritual person. And maybe this is because of the fact that he's a Muslim, which is just one who submits. But spiritual in the sense of the word, when he talks to you in his conversation, it is really surrounded about Allah and just the internal person connecting with the God. It's just, even his poetry is very spiritual. So he's a spiritual person. He's very in tune with other people, their feelings, their emotions, and just the higher, bigger purpose in life. I would say he is very mature. And mature in that he knows what he wants, he plans for it, and then he moves out and makes it happen. And that's maturity. Some people, they don't have that. When they get however old and they don't have that. They can't do that. They don't have it. And he knows how to do that. It takes a certain level of maturity, persistence, determined type of character about yourself. I would say he's very strong. Strong in that, in himself and who he is, what he wants in life, and just his role as a man, just understanding manhood and his role as a man. He's very strong in that. And I would say, I don't know if I said funny or humorous, but if I did, I have to repeat that, because I laugh with him like all the time. We laugh and joke and play, and I really appreciate that life.
And then I would say, in addition to being an intellectual, of course, how can I forget this? Artistic. When anyone who knows Bilal knows that he's an artist. He's a very good artist. And if you've ever been in his personal space, like his home, I mean, from the ceiling to the floor, right to left, there's art everywhere. And having owned an art gallery, which he also helped me with that and worked with me with that, he was the art manager for a while when I had the Red Apple Gallery downtown Detroit. I love art. I think it can make your day better. It can help you in your spirit. And his whole entire house is filled with artwork everywhere, to include the doors, like the internal doors in his home. He has artwork on that, and I love that. I love that free spirit. I love someone who appreciates beauty. I think he's that type of person. And I would add sensitive, because when you can appreciate beauty, you can appreciate flowers and artwork, that means you're sensitive. You're in tune with the God, with the greater purpose, and that's him. And I would say strategic. That'll probably be the last one I would mention. A thinker, strategy. I'm not sure if he knows how to play chess. He probably does, but chess players, they're thinking several moves ahead of the actual move that they're about to do, and so it's really a thinking game. It's really a thinking game, and that's Bilal. He's a thinker. He's a reader. He studies, and I just appreciate that, because so many people get trapped into frivolous stuff in their life and distracted by it, just veer off the path, When I talk to Bilal, he's telling me about a book he's just read, something he's just studied. I mean, the conversations are intellectually interesting and stimulating. And I can't tell you how pleasant that is to talk with someone that has a good conversation and that they also appreciate having intellectual conversations with someone else. That's very nice. And so I'm always learning from him. And I appreciate that. I really do. So I love him. He's my brother.
Yes, Angel is my baby brother, and so when, I don't know if he told you that when he was born, my mother felt very ill. I mean, after, he was the 11th child, so after 11 children, there was no more of anything in her. So the doctors told my dad that my mother was going to die, but we knew she wasn't. And he literally, the baby had to come home. My mother stayed in the hospital for almost a month and a half, and the baby came home. I was 13, so I lied to all my friends and told them I had a child. And he would sleep with me. I would carry him around. I'd run home from school. He was my little bitty everything. And so then, after my mom got well, came home, and everything returned back to normal, of course I grew up and I was getting ready to go away to college. But before I went to college, he would always ask me to read. Read me a story, read me a story. I was like, oh boy, you drive me crazy. But I would read him Dr. Seuss books, and he loved Dr. Seuss. And I would just read him and read him and read him, and I didn't know that as I was reading, he was following the words. And then he started saying the words. Of course, I thought he was mimicking, but he wasn't. He learned how to read, and I was so proud. I was like, oh, I taught my baby brother how to read. So that's my big Aether story. He would be the one I make sure to look out for. And he's been my great cake maker. Now, did he tell you that my mother, because her health never really returned to where it was, did he tell you that my mother taught that boy to cook when he was like 5 or 6 years old? He was making like real food, like cooking his breakfast. She taught him literally everything. And that pound cake that he's so famous for, my mom taught him how to make it. No recipe, you know, she old school. You put this in and put that in and put that in, and literally, that boy can cook. He can cook, and he makes the best lentil soup you ever had. So,
Perfected by my imperfections. For one does not attain to perfection by being perfect. The unspoken word speaks louder than verbs, and I hear. Fear exists in the realm of our yesterdays, but the present perfect is ever present per effect. And we speak the vibe in our truth, drunk off of the liquid love of our youth. String theology plays on one accord as the parallels intersect. Perpetual spirituality, transcending the paradox. I say, I love you, and we feel it mutually all across the realms. Like the rain falling down on her skin, dripping on the window panes. So I indulged the essence of her rose until she blossomed into a bouquet where I would find her in the afterlife. Come forth by day, my king, she summoned, and I sipped the goddess nectar in the rain, and she emerged a butterfly, beautiful, black, blues, and I listened to hear her song, hypnotic melody, intoxicating rain, silence, a kiss, bliss. The spoken word is the true power of persona, and the written word is the true spirit of what is spoken. Now, words have power, especially when you spell them. And the sounds can either heal or harm. We've been in this realm for a long time, and we've wrapped our power up into English. And you know, when you play pool, and we know all about that game, you put English on the ball so it can spin and curve and knock the other balls in the pocket. And the last ball to get knocked in is the 8 ball, which is the black ball, the black cue ball, actually. And you know, when it comes to race relations and public relations and spiritual relations in this realm and in this country, you know, not too many people talk about mental challenges relative to spirituality
And there's a cosmic veil across the world that keeps us wrapped up in our humanity, you know. And it's all about emotions and feelings, and people react to emotions, and they react based off of what they feel or how somebody made them feel. There's those that have empathy who can understand how you feel and actually feel how you feel. But emotion being energy and motion has to be controlled. It can't be wild energy and motion. It can't be wild energy and motion because that leads to chaos. Chaos is a good thing when you're creating because you can take a lot of things and put them all together and form a whole or form some kind of order out of it. That was how things started. But chaos is not good when you already have some type of order to things. And, you know, poetry is unlimited and it is limited. You know, the spoken word, thoughts transcribed into words, abstracted into creative fusions of thoughts, you know, painting with words, you know, you add color, you add sound, you add thought, you add dissonance, you add harmony and melody. It leads all to the same thing in music because the sound of somebody's voice is what we long for and what we will long for when we enter the dark. The power of someone to call us forth from the realm of darkness. And this could be your thoughts, or it could actually be a dark place. I know I'm a celestial being. I know when I return, I will return to the heavenly host. I know that for the fact. And being a celestial being, experiencing humanity is rough because you have to embrace human emotion. And human emotion is a chaos. It's a cacophony of all the types of energies that swirl around in synapses and neuronic firings in the brain. And if you could symphonize all of that in an instrument, everybody needs to pick up an instrument so that we could play the orchestra of human harmony. If everybody picked up an instrument, if everybody wrote poems, if everybody painted on canvases, at some point in their life and contributed to the continuum of the peace spirit that's in music, art, and poetry, everybody would be happy. What I want to talk about is how I feel about women and why it's so important. You know, this is my requiem for a rose, if you will. Don't mean to be cliche, but this is my requirement for
how I feel about it. I think it is a divine tragedy when men disrespect, abuse women and use them and kill them, rape them, all this stuff. It's a divine tragedy, you know. Here it is, the portals, those who possess the portals of the holiest of holies, where all beings come into this realm from other realms to experience humanity. And the only thing I can think of that men that do that are, they're beasts. And I won't even disrespect the beast, because the beast respects their female for the most part. You know, there are exceptions of things that happen, but they know the importance. And there's been a lot of abuse and mistreatment, killings and rapes of women all throughout the centuries for a long time. It goes back to probably the Nephilim and fallen angels, and just time when everybody just thought they just need to take a woman, you know. I think if we respected women with the due respect that they deserve and have earned by God, you know. And a lot of people say, well, you know, God allows these things to happen. It's like, nah. He gives everybody free will. So, people that want to harm women or whatever, they have free will to do that. But there's laws set up and consequences, whether they pay for it here or anywhere else. They will pay for it. And, you know, I think they are special, key ingredients to the fabric of the reality of this realm. I can't say it enough, you know. I've always had high regards when I was in my right mind, you know, for women. Yeah, the male ego gets in the way sometimes, and me, even with inanimate objects that have a female persona, I may fall off the wagon, and that's what we got to get. Even when we talking about something, it doesn't do what we want, whether it's technology or whatever, and we rattle off and use the B word or whatever. We need to learn how to even not do that. It's so important, because it goes back to what I was saying about words. You speak it, it becomes that. Until we hold in high regard a female dog, then we will continue to suffer the maladies of our own tragic thought and denying ourselves the blessings of the Most High, the gift of woman that was given to us as men. We need to respect her, protect her, and lift her up so high. And we'll never see the end of the blessings of the Most High. The treasures we store is in the heaven of her heart. The treasures we store up should be in the heaven of her heart, so that she can give birth to the reality, the new reality of man here, now, and forevermore, all across the realms and the parallels, so we can transcend the paradox into paradise, and it will reverberate Not like dominoes falling, but like dominoes standing back up again in unison and connecting and uniting, creating a paradise across the realm. Otherwise, it's just a shuffle game of karmic debt that just shuffles all around from one person to another. Somebody does evil, and the other person does evil, and they die or whatever, get killed or whatever, and then it shuffles. It's a shuffle game, a shell game of dimensions. You know, we don't need to do that anymore. We need to pass the peace all throughout the omniverse, so that the true balance of the force will come.
Blue,
Yeah,
I see you brought your own soundtrack to the island.
yeah.
What are you listening to?
It's a track I made the other night called The Luxury of Love Beyond Time. And the inspiration of it is when you find someone that you enjoy being with and that you want to spend your life with. That's the luxury of love beyond time, because that's when time becomes irrelevant, because the only thing you focus on is you and that person and the things that you do together. And those things that you do are etched into a period of time that can't be taken away from you, you know. And I was just thinking about those things and the sounds I wanted to have in the track. I wanted it to be mellow and relaxing, kind of like out here on the island, you know.
Yeah. What instruments are you playing on that track?
All keyboards with, you know, embellishments, different keyboards and synthesizers. I like to, I'm influenced by Monk, Herbie Hancock. Herbie Hancock mostly when I play my electronic keyboards. I like Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, then the Vibes, Lionel Hampton. I got instruments that I made up that I named after them on my software programs when I play electronic music. I consider myself a digital composer. You know, it's something new that I don't know if anybody's ever coined that phrase, but this is something that I do because it's when you have musical talent, musicianship with instruments and whatnot, and you take what's given in the software programs and you embellish it with your musical acumen, you know. Whether it be a drum track or a synth riff or something like that, you put it together and embellish it with your own accents of improvisation.
Sounds good. Hi! Well, Aether Blue's friend has come to visit us again. Hi! Hard at work finding food for himself. But I think he just wants our company because he keeps coming back. And each time he's closer. This time he's close enough that if I stepped out 1 foot, he'd be right at my feet. What are you gonna call him, Aether?
Black.
Think that fits him. So what do you get when you come out to the water in a park like this? What does it do for you?
It's just peace, you know. I like to come out here when nobody else is out here because it's you get to hear the birds and the trees and the technology. You know, you get to hear helicopters, airplanes, boats, the water slashing against the shore, the blackbirds and all the different kind of birds singing. You might hear a woodpecker every now and then. Get to see all these squirrels and geese and all the animal life, you know, out here.
You're an animal lover?
Yeah, I love animals. I like nature. Although I don't get out in it much, my neighborhood is natural like that. Even though it's in the middle of the city, we got rabbits, raccoons, possums, squirrels, black squirrels, gray squirrels, brown squirrels. Then all the feral animals, the feral cats, and we don't have too many stray dogs. You know, but I like nature. Nature is really peaceful.
It's a really beautiful day out here today. What do you do being an inner city resident when the weather isn't nice enough to come out and enjoy a weather like this?
Well, what I do when it's not nice, you know, I might stay inside and create some music, you know, and just think about different things. It's nice.
What's your earliest memory of this park? When is the first time you can remember coming out here?
Well, my earliest memory is I can't remember that back that far because I was a child, but I remember we used to come out to the giant slide, and families would be out here all the time. It's gotten back to being a family park again. It got wild and crazy for quite a few years. You know, a lot of the young people would be over the strip and they got wild and crazy. I won't say what stuff they was doing. You know, if you think wild and crazy youth, that's what they were doing.
Right.
You know, but it's gotten back to a family park where families can come out and have an outing and sit down and relax on the grass and have food and stuff like that. You know, it's really nice.
I know how important family is to you. When you think about places like Belle Isle Park in your neighborhood and various places around the city, what are some of the family memories that stand out?
Well, family members, we finally had our reunion here. We had a Guards Cross family reunion out here just before my mother passed back in 2000. It was either 2008. I don't know if my mother passed or was she still with us. I can't remember. I think she was still with us. I'm not sure. I don't think so. She might have just passed. But I can't remember. But it was really nice having family out here and whatnot. And I just like to come out here to meditate and, you know, get my head together. Think about the future. What the next move I'm gonna make, and really just to think about nothing sometimes, just to sit back and relax.
It's a beautiful place to be to relax and meditate.
Yeah.
Thank you. No place I'd rather rather be. No place I'd rather be. Out here on the island in the greens. No place I'd rather be. He's a naturalist. Respects the birds and the bees and the trees as much as he does human beings. He's an artist. Sees shades of blue and green. Something like a Miles Davis track when he looks in the leaves and the oceans and the lakes and the streams. No place I'd rather be than behind the lens seeing life through your eyes. There's nothing more precious than the surprise I get every time I hear a new emotion coming from his heart. He is the start and the end of each sentence I pen in a love poem. He is the middle and the nonsensical and the logical and the theological and the religious and everything I stroll. No place I'd rather be than writing poems. No place I'd rather be than cooking fish and grits in my home. Barefoot, happy, at peace, loving me. No place I'd rather be.
Yeah.